Hello, everyone. I'm Suresh, one of the senior product managers at Syncfusion. In today's webinar session, like Kata said, we will be seeing about the new updates for the volume 2 2022 release, with specific to the platforms WinUI and WPF. And we will also see about the developing steps to develop an analog clock UI in WinUI. Let's first focus on the new updates in WinUI platform. We have introduced new shadow control in WinUI platform, which comes with the features to customize the color of the shadow. And you can customize the position of the shadow with the offset X and Y properties. You can also increase or decrease the blur radius of the shadow. And for the autocomplete and combo box controls, we have introduced leading and trailing view support that allows you to include any shape, text, or controls in the leading and the trailing views. We also support highlighting the text we type in the control in the options listed below. Now you can convert the Word document into images using our Word library. And in PDF library, you can now create PDF A4 conformance PDF documents. PDF-A is an ISO standardized version of PDF specialized for long-term preservation of the electronic document. PDF A4 is the latest edition of the PDF-A conformance series. It has two conformance levels, PDF A4E and PDF A4F. You can create a PDF document, PDF A4 conformance PDF document from the scratch, and you can also convert an existing PDF document into PDF A4 conformance level. And we now support to include rich media annotation. In the latest version of PDF, that is PDF 2.0, both sound and movie annotations are marked as deprecated. And they have introduced this rich media annotation using which you can embed both video and sound files in the PDF document. Now you can include watermark annotations in the PDF document. A watermark can be a text, image, or any graphical shape. You can rotate the watermark through 0, 90, 180, and 270-degree angles. You can customize the watermark to be displayed only when printing the PDF document. That is, you can avoid the display of the watermark when viewing the document and display it only when printing it. Let's move on to the updates in the WPF platform. In WPF PDF viewer, we now support including squiggly annotation. Here in the screenshot, you could see that the misspelled word components is marked with the squiggly annotation. You can customize the color of the squiggly annotation, and you can delete the existing squiggly annotation. We support including call-out text box annotation, which is a call-out text box annotation usually holds a text note enclosed in a box that points out to an element in the PDF document. That's about the updates in the 2022 Volume 2 release. Let's now move on to developing an analog clock UI in WinUI. I'm going to use Visual Studio 2022 for the development of this project. I'm going to create a new project. Already the language, platform, and the project types are selected. And I'm going to proceed with selecting the blank app. And I'm going to name the project as Analog Clock UI. Yes, the project is created now. For the development of this analog clock UI, we are going to use Syncfusion radial gauge. To use which, I'm going to include the NuGet package that contains the Syncfusion SF radial gauge control. Open the NuGet packages manager for this project. Navigate to the Browse tab. Now we have to search for Syncfusion WinUI radial gauge. Choose the listed NuGet package and choose to install it. Provide confirmation on installing this NuGet package. Yes, it is successfully installed, which is marked with the green tick button here. Now I'm going to open the main window. Now, and I'm going to remove the existing button and the code behind code for that click event that is usually available in the default project. Yes. So coming back to the design page, now I'm going to include the XML namespace for accessing the radial gauge. Fusion UI.xaml.pages. Now I'm going to include the SF radial gauge. And I'm going to name it the main dial. Now we are going to access the axis of this radial, this radial gauge. Within which we would have this primary radial axis. We are going to set the start and end angle of this radial axis to be 270. We would be having 3 different needle pointers to point hours, minutes, and seconds. And we are going to include them now. All these pointers would be available, has to be added into the pointers collection. So I'm going to open up the pointers collection, within which I'm going to include the needle pointers. So like I said, we are going to have 3 different needle pointers. First one, I'm going to name it as hours pointer. The second one, I'm going to name it as minutes pointer. The third one, I'm going to name it as seconds pointer. Now we are going to set different values for the pointers just to distinguish them in the gauge for designing. I'm going to set the hours pointer to point to 10, value 10. And I'm going to set the minute pointer's value to be 2. And I'm going to leave the seconds pointer. Since we do not have the design view, we are going to run this application and use the output and use the hot reload feature to see the changes we make in the radial gauge. Application is being built. It will be deployed shortly. Since it is the first time of the deployment, it is taking some time. Yeah, the deployment has succeeded. And here comes the UI. Yes. We shall dock it to the right and dock the Visual Studio to the left. And I'm going to resize this window because we would need, we would need much space for the coding. Yes. Now let's start customizing the axis, radial axis. We are going to set by default the minimum and maximum set to 0 and 100. For the clock, the minimum and maximum has to be 0 and 12. So I'm going to customize them. I'm going to set the minimum value to 0 and maximum value to be 12. Yes. Now we could see that both labels 0 and 12 are overlapping here. So we are going to avoid displaying the first label. So I'm going to mark show first label property to be false. And I'm going to set the interval of this axis to be 1. Between the major ticks, we by default only a single tick is single minor tick is included in here. In a clock UI, we must have at least 4 minor ticks between 2 major ticks. So I'm going to customize the minor ticks per interval. I'm going to set it to 4. And I'm going to set the offset unit to factor. We have two values like factor and pixel. In this application, we will be using only the factor value. So we are going to set it as factor. And I'm going to set the label offset to be 0.15. 0.15. And I'm going to set the tick offset to be 0.03. You see the difference in here, like the positioning of the label and the ticks. Then I'm going to set the tick length offset to factor. Tick length unit, I'm going to set it to factor to customize the length of the tick. So I'm going to set the minor tick length to be 0.06. So it is set. We could see the changes in the UI. And I'm going to set the major tick length to be 0.1. Yeah, it is clear now. Now I'm going to increase the font size of the labels to have a better look at the numbers. So I'm going to increase the font size to 18. The numbers are displayed clear now. And I'm going to set the axis line width unit to factor. And I'm going to customize the axis line width unit, width. Axis line width, I'm going to set it to 0.01. Just to display the border around the dial. With this, we have completely customized the clock's dial. Let's now move on to customizing the hash pointer. This is going to be the shortest needle. So I'm going to set the needle's length to be 0.6. I'm going to set it to 0.6. And I'm going to set the start and end width to 215. Needles start width to 2 and needles end width to 5. And I'm going to use a customized color to fill this needle. So I'm going to use the needle fill property and assign the color. I'm going to assign the color 355 C7D. Every needle has the knob in the center. We are going to remove this knob of this horse needle, by assigning its radius to 0. I'm going to set the knob radius to 0. Now it displays the knob of the minute and the seconds hand. We will customize it eventually. So we are going. This is the second lengthiest needle in the clock. So I'm going to set it length to 0.85. I'm going to set the start and end width to 1 and 3 respectively. Start width to 1 and end width to 3. I'm going to fill this needle with the same color. So I'm just copying the code and pasting it in here. And I'm going to set the knob radius to 0.05. You will see the difference once when we customize the knob for the seconds pointer. And I'm going to use a different color to fill the knob. And the knob fill is going to be hash 00A8B5. The customization of the minutes pointer is over. And for the seconds pointer, we are going to enable the animation. Since we could not visually see the movement of the hours and the minutes pointer, we are just ignoring the animations in there. But for every second, the needle of the seconds pointer would be moving. So we are going to implement the animation for it. So I'm going to enable the animation. And I'm going to set the animation time to 800 milliseconds. That is animation duration to 800. And I'm going to set the needle length to be 0.9. This is the lengthiest needle in the clock. Both start and end width of this needle is going to be 2. I'm going to fill this seconds needle with a different color that I used to fill the knob here. So needle fill, I'm going to use the color which I used in here. We are going to implement a tail for this seconds hand alone. So I'm going to include a tail in here. Tail length 0.15. So now our tail is included, which is of a different width. So I'm going to customize the tail's width. And I'm going to set it to the width of the needle, that is 2. Now we are going to customize the knob to achieve an UI. I'm going to set the knob radius to be 0.03. And I'm going to fill the knob with the color white. Going to be in the winter. Now we have achieved the expected UI. Okay. We need to apply I could see that the tail color is not same as the needle color. So tail color has to be adjusted. So I'm going to use the tail fill property and assign the same color. Yes. Now we are going to implement customize the animation. I'm going to use the needle pointers animation easing function. Needle pointer animation easing function. Okay. I must to include it in the tag in here. So I'm going to, yes, it should be included for the seconds pointer alone. Needle pointer dot animation easing function. Yes. Within which I'm going to customize the bounciness of this needle. Bouncies, and I'm going to customize the bounciness. And I'm going to set it to 8. That's it. We have implemented the UI. Now we are going to make it work and display the current time. So let's move forward to the code behind. I'm going to declare 3 different variables to assign seconds, minutes, and hours values to the pointers. And I'm going to name them seconds, minutes, and hours. Yes. Now we are going to create 3 different constant values. That is seconds increment, minutes increment, and hours increment values. That are the values that are to be incremented by the seconds, minutes, and hours handle for each second. Uh, for the seconds handle to reach from 0 to 5, it would take 5 seconds, right? So for each second, the seconds handle should move by value 1 by 5. Since this one value is segmented into 5 parts, the value of the seconds handle should be incremented by 1 by 5, that is 0.2. So I'm going to include a constant double variable, and I'm going to name it seconds increment, and I'm going to set it to 0.2. So like I said before, for the seconds handle to cross to reach the value 1 from 0, it would take 5 seconds. So I'm going to divide the value of 1 by 5, and I'm going to assign it to the seconds increment. In a similar fashion, I'm going to implement the increment value of the minutes pointer. For the minutes pointer to reach the 1 value from 12, or 0 or 12, it would take 5 minutes, which is equivalent to 300 seconds. So for each second, the minutes pointer value should be updated by 1 by 300. So 1 divided by 300 is 0.0033. So I'm going to assign this value here, 0033. And for the hours pointer, it would take 1 hour to reach 1 from the value 12. 1 hour is equivalent to 60 minutes, and 60 minutes is equivalent to 3600 seconds. So for each second, the value of the hours pointer should be updated by 1 by 3600. 1 divided by 3600 is 0.000278. That is displayed with the exponential -3. So I'm going to include 0.000278. I'm just rounding off the adjacent 7. So these are the increment values. And I'm going to declare a dispatcher timer in here. I'm going to name it timer. And in the constructor, I'm going to define the timer. New dispatcher timer. And I'm going to assign the value to this interval property with the time span 0, 0, and 1. This timer must be hit for every second. So I'm just setting the seconds value to be 1. We are going to implement the timer.tick event. I'm going to keep the name as it is. Then going to start the timer in here. Now the timer is started. And in the timer, we are going to update the value of the individual pointers, seconds, minutes, and hours pointers. Before which I'm going to assign the values to the hours, minutes, and seconds pointer. And then I will be assigning these values to the pointers value. So like we defined in the design view, and I'm going to set hours value to be 10, minutes value to be 2, and seconds value to be 0. Yes. Now we are going to increment the pointers with this increment value for every second. So for the first second, I will be incrementing the seconds variable by the seconds increment factor. Yes. And then I'm going to assign this value to the value of the seconds pointer. This dot seconds pointer dot value. I'm going to set it to seconds. Once the seconds pointer reaches the value 12, it must be reinitialized to 0. So I'm going to implement that condition in here. So if this dot seconds pointer dot value is greater than or equal to 12, I'm going to first disable the animation of the seconds pointer by accessing the enable animation property and setting it to false. And then I'm going to set the seconds value to the seconds increment value. And I'm going to set the seconds pointer value to be seconds. Yes. And I'm going to enable the animation. That's it. We are going to implement the same for the hours and the minute pointers. So I'm just copying the code and pasting it here. Now we are going to implement this for the minutes pointer. I'm choosing the minutes increment value. Now the minutes pointer value is set to mins. In the same way, when the minute pointer reaches the value 12, it must be reset. So when the minutes pointer's value is greater than or equal to 12, I'm going to, we are going to ignore the animation of the minutes pointer. Since its movement will be very marginal. To minutes increment value. And I'm going to set minutes pointers value to minutes. Yes. Okay. And for the hours pointer, going to increment the hours value with the hours increment value. And I'm going to set hours pointers value to be hours. When the hours pointer reaches 12, it has to be reset. Setting the hours value to the hours pointer. Yes, everything is done. Checking the things back. Now, if we redeploy this application, we should be able to see the animation. Let's try to redeploy it. I'm going to restart the application. So the build is in progress. Okay, the deployment succeeded. Yes. Okay, we could see the animation in here. It is working as expected. Let's see if the value of minutes is updated. Okay, let me check in this location. by when the seconds hand reaches 12, the minute value should be updated by zero point 0.2. We shall see that now. It would take 30 seconds. It's very obvious, yes. Now it would take about 20 seconds. It here in a second and 5, 4, 3, 2. Yeah, it is. Now we shall check the value of this. Yeah, it's closing to 2.2. I mean 2.1979. So let's traverse through the code. By the time it reaches in here, the value is almost 2. That is 2.201. That is obviously 2.2. That's it. It is working as expected. Now we shall proceed to set the current time to this clock. Okay. In the constructor, I'm going to introduce 3 variables to uh, access the current seconds, minutes, and hours value. Yes. So I'm going to declare them of type double. Current, I'm going to name it current second, date, time, dot, now, followed by seconds. Yes. Double current minute equal to date, time, now, followed by minutes. And for current hour, you're going to access the hour. Okay, we get that now. Now we have to convert the acquired values to the values of the dial, because the seconds value we acquire in here would be in the range of 5, 10, 15, and 20. But in the axis, we use the value 1, 2, 3, and 4. So the seconds value we acquired should be converted into the value of the axis. So we are going to perform that operation in here. That is, the current seconds value acquired must be divided by 5, and it has to be set to the seconds value. So I'm going to set the seconds value to the value of the current sec divided by 5. The same rule applies for the minutes hand as well. So minutes value we acquire would be in the range of 5, 10, 15, and 20. It has to be converted into this axis range. So dividing the minutes value we acquire by 5 would give us the value of the minute. So I'm going to set minutes value to the value of the current minute divided by 5. At many times, we would be probably receiving the values of seconds like 30, right? So that would cause some minimal movement for this minutes hand. That is placing the minutes hand in between 2 minor ticks. So that has to be calculated in here. So I'm going to add the excess value of this seconds to the value of the minutes hand. I'm going to do it by setting, by adding the multiplication of the current seconds by the minutes increment factor. So I'm going to add current seconds multiplied by the minutes increment factor. This would give the accurate value of the minutes pointer to be moved with respect to the current seconds value. Usually we get the hours value in the 24 hours format. 24 hours format of the clock. That has to be converted into the 12 hours format, for which if the current hour value exceeds the value of 12 or equals the value of 12, it has to be subtracted with 12. So if current hour is greater than or equal to 12, we need to subtract 12 from the current hour, minus equal to 12. Now we have converted 24 hours format of the hour into 12 hours format. Now we are going to calculate the current position of the hours handle. I'm going to set the hours value to current hour, because unlike seconds and minutes hand, we get straightforward value for the hours time. For 1 a.m. or 1 p.m., the value we get would be 1, 2, 3 respectively. So we can use the direct values of the hour in here, and we need to consider the position of the minutes and seconds to adjust the hand of the hour. For which I'm going to add the uh, current minute divided by 60. So it converts the minute value to hours. And then I'm going to convert the current second excuse me. Now I'm going to convert the current seconds into hour by dividing it by 60 to convert it into minutes, and further dividing it by 60 by converting it to hours value. So I'm going to add brackets for easy understanding. So this converts the seconds into minutes, and the complete thing converts the minutes into hour. So this hash value can be directly, it's already assigned to the hash value here. Now we shall remove the hard-coded values for the time box. So the same thing has to be done in here. We have included the value 2 and 10. I'm going to remove them. And let's now redeploy the application and see if it works. Yes, it is displaying the exact time. I'm from India, so it is displaying the IST time now. Right now the time is 12 p.m. 11 p.m. You can see it in here. So I'm going to dock it here just to illustrate the purpose of the bounciness. So here you could see the bounciness of the seconds pointer, right? I'm going to set it to 4 to see how it affects the bounciness animation of this pointer. Now it bounces a lot. I'm going to set it to 1. See, you could see a vast difference in the bounciness in the animation. So I'm going to set it back to 8. So it looks good. So with this, we have completed the implementation of the analog clock UI in WinUI. I hope I made the session useful. Yeah, it was good meeting you all. Thanks.